Back in the West, West on my chest, flexing my pecs, I been hitting my reps. Too strong to SD, then LA is next. Coast up to the Bay, then LV for best on my.
What's up, y'all? So, we're going to continue now talking about blood pressure, but I want to show you guys like actually how I'm monitoring my own personal blood pressure, because it's one thing just to kind of talk about it. It's another thing to demonstrate for you guys how it works, because now I'm finding that more and more of my clients are dealing with high blood pressure, and a lot of people have been oblivious to the fact that their blood pressure is high. So this is the exact reason that I'm making these videos, so you guys can understand the importance of monitoring your own health. Because if you don't monitor it, then you can't make the necessary changes to keep it under control. And so then you show up at the doctor unprepared, and they see that you're unprepared, that you haven't paid attention to it at all. You're surprised when they tell you your blood pressure is high because you haven't been taking it. You haven't checked it at all since the last month, 6 months, or year, or years that, you know, before your last physical or checkup or blood work or whatever you're doing. And so they're like, well, this person clearly isn't paying attention to their health. So they're just going to throw you on medication because they don't think they have no indication that you have any idea of what you're doing to yourself. And so I'm going to help you guys to rectify that, because if you're willing to do your homework, do your research on yourself, all right, get a piece of equipment, a blood pressure cuff, and just check your blood pressure on a regular basis when it's high. All right, if you take your blood pressure and it's normal, then you don't have to take it that often. Take it every few weeks. But if your blood pressure is high, then you start taking it more often until you figure out what the cause of it is. And whatever causes it that time is going to be more likely to be a factor in the future. So you understand what factors that trigger your blood pressure to be high. Okay. So I'm going to show you guys my numbers, and there's one thing about having your own blood pressure cuff at home. It's generally advised that you go and get it calibrated at your doctor, because sometimes they can be inaccurate. And then after probably 2 years, so if you got this old ancient blood pressure cuff, which I had one, it was really old, and my blood pressure was like reading like 176. Like, it was crazy. Like, I started to shoot a video about blood pressure, and then I took it, and it was 176. I might actually have a clip of it.
Thing can affect your blood pressure, so it's good to sit down for a few minutes and get to like a happy place. And see, now I know it's gonna be high. So when it goes way up that high, I know my blood pressure is gonna be pretty high. Now, we've had this cuff for 6-7 years, so it's about time for a new one. So I'm probably gonna order a new one, but I wanna see what this is. And if it's wrong, if it's too high, then I'm gonna go through the process of fixing it. Now, I just came in here and sat down and took it, so it could be pretty high. And like I said, this is very, very sensitive, your blood pressure. So it's good in the mornings if you sit down for a while, for a few minutes, meditate a little bit, and then take your blood pressure. See, that's way, way high. That's ridiculous. So, all right. And then on top of that, you want to take it a few times.
Like, I was like, okay, well, I can't make a blood pressure video telling people how to do blood pressure. My blood pressure is like crazy, out of this world. But we had that blood pressure since like, I think the date on it was like 2014. So it was like 8 years old. It was really old. It was crazy. So I bought a new one, Bluetooth, that was sent to my phone so that I could look at trends. And that's what I'm going to show you. I'm going to switch to where you guys can see my screen and see my blood pressure readings. Okay. But with the caveat now, because every time I've gone to the doctor, I haven't had high blood pressure. So if I go to a clinic, I think I had strep throat one time, I had COVID twice, and then I think I went to both times I had COVID, I had to go and get a negative test as well. So all of those times over the last probably about 2 years. My blood pressure's been normal, except that one time that I had symptomatic COVID, and my body was fighting like heck to get that. My body had to work like for real to fight that COVID off. So my blood pressure was elevated, and even then it was like slightly elevated, like 135 over like 80 something. You know what I'm saying? So it wasn't like super high, but it was elevated. All the rest of the times it was like 120s, you know, like mid to high 120s, 126, 128, somewhere in there. So as long as I have that confirmation, I feel pretty good. Now, my one at home doesn't easily get into the 120s, although it has, but we'll talk about that in a minute. So I'm gonna switch over to the view so you guys can actually see what's going on with my blood pressure. And then I wanna also tell you guys, when you take your blood pressure, you always wanna make sure that your cuff is in line with your heart. And then occasionally, typically you're gonna take it on the same side as your heart, it's your left arm, but you want to make sure that you periodically check the opposite arm as well to make sure there's not a huge discrepancy, because that can indicate problems as well. So it's just a little bit of research. It takes a few minutes, you know, for you to do, and this is going to keep you out of it. It's going to keep you off these medications. It's way more expensive to pay for medications every month. It's way more expensive to have to run back and forth and get checkups at the doctor. It's way more expensive to be unhealthy. It's expensive to be unhealthy. You have to fix the problems yourself, okay? So before I get on another rant, let's switch this thing over to the other part, all right?
All right, what's up, you guys? So I'm here on the Omron Connect app, and the newer Omron blood pressure monitors have Bluetooth where they'll send all the readings to your phone, and so that you can keep track. This will be a great thing for you to show your doctor. Now I'm gonna tell you guys about my methods for taking blood pressure. So what I do is, as soon as I get my blood pressure cuff, I go sit down, and then I take my blood pressure immediately, because I want to see like how high is it getting when I'm just kind of moving around. You know what I'm saying? Like that's like worst case scenario, like because you're supposed to sit down for 15 minutes, get your mind calm. As I mentioned in a previous video, you got to sit down, get your mind in a quiet place, and then take your blood pressure. It's not a good idea really to take it at work if you're in a high stress work environment. Generally, when you're at home, you want to sit down, get your mind calm, take your blood pressure. So that's hard to do for me. So I want to like see where my blood pressure starts at the beginning of that 15 minutes and where it is by the end of that 15 minutes. So, because there's generally a large difference. So, as you can see here, I took my first blood pressure reading this January 1st. Now, remember, I started a fast, a 48-hour fast, nothing but water, on January 1st. So, the 31st was Friday night. We went out to eat at Papa Do's, and that's food that really sits on my stomach. So I wanted to eat something good before I went on this 48-hour fast. So we went out, ate some good food. But I knew it was going to sit on my stomach, and then I was going straight into my fast. So that was Friday night, probably like 6 o'clock or so. So by now I'm probably like 18 hours or so into this fast. And now I'm just taking my blood pressure. So I'm fasted completely for about 18 hours. Let me go back into December a little bit so you guys can see kind of where my blood pressure was. I'm not sure what was going on here around the 27th. It's around Christmas time. But as you can see, let me just go back over here. You can see typically like 130s, like 130, maybe 130s. As I mentioned before, typically that would be okay. I got a 126 right here around December 23rd. What they want to see is your like kind of your average low blood pressure. So like I'm taking these readings. Sometimes I'm like doing stuff and then I sit down and I immediately take it. As you can see, like most of the time, like I think I got a couple of 120s in there. So for me, I like to try to see 120s, at least a couple times a week. And that satisfies what I'm looking for. As you can see here on January 1st, at 12:46. So I first took it when I sat down, it was 12:15, and it was 143/78. So that kind of gives you an idea of what it is, what it might be when you just initially sit down. I want as much data as possible. And so after that was like 30 minutes. I think I was just kind of sitting on the couch, kind of playing with my daughter or something. And then I went back to take it again. I was still kind of moving around. I think I might have got up or something. So I sat down, it was 136, and then I took it a minute later, it was 125, and then it was 128. That's right in the middle of a 48-hour fast. So not even in the middle of it. So we're going to the first, later on that day, like 4:30, I went back, took it again, still easily getting into 128s. All right. And then I took it again at night. I told you guys I'm anal about this stuff. So this is the kind of data I like to take. So this is 8 o'clock at night. You see, I'm still taking my blood pressure. It's 126, which fasted. So I can't emphasize enough how fasting helps your body. And just this 24-hour fast had tremendous impact. This is about 24 hours at 8:05 p.m. Had tremendous impact on my blood pressure. I kept taking it. I don't know why. I just kept taking it. It's like 9:40. I couldn't eat, so I needed something to do. So I just kept taking my blood pressure. I told you guys, man, I do not play those games. Let me see. So I don't want to delete that. So this is the second day. The second day wasn't as good. I think I was busy doing stuff. This was a Sunday, so I was busy doing stuff, trying to get my studio up and going. So I did take it in to start 131, which is not bad. And again, my home readings are typically higher than what I would see at the doctor. So 131, I don't consider to be problematic, especially considering that my diastolic number is quite low. All right, so January 3rd, anytime you see that first number for me, so it's January 3rd at 7:41 p.m., that's generally right when I sat down. And so I'll take it, and then 15 minutes later, let's see, 7:52. So I started at 7:42, 7:41. Yeah, 7:41. So 10 minutes later at 7:52, it was down to 132. And then more than likely, my daughter came and started screaming and shouting, and it went back up. like that's generally what happens. I can get about 15 minutes of quiet before she starts, cutting up, and then my blood pressure just goes up. And then here's the 6th. So you see a kind of a repeating theme here. I'll sit down. Here's the 7th. I sat down at 8:30. No, that's in the morning. I sat down at 8:57. It was 141. And then by 9:04, which is about 9:03, which is about 15 minutes later, it was 130 over 73. That to me is passable. That's not gonna raise any alarms for me. So if you're consistently testing like 120s, 130, for me, I can accept that. When you get into when you're consistently testing like 140s, mid, high 140s, 150s, then that's when you need to start taking action. Okay. So you see the recurring thing, 131 here, 130 one day, and then 129, 129. That was the 15th of January. So you see consistent themes going throughout here, 131. And the red ones that you see are typically exactly when I first sit down. And some days it's harder for me to get my blood pressure down than others. You know what I'm saying? Like this is the 24th. Today's the 29th. So it's probably time for me to take it again. As long as I can get down and see like 130 or 129, mid to high 120s, I feel pretty comfortable that my blood pressure is in a good place. Now, as I mentioned before, I come from stroke. In my family, high blood pressure. So this much just effort is a prerequisite if I don't want to walk down those same lines that my family members have had. You know what I'm saying? So it's not that complicated. All you have to do is put the effort in and monitor it. Just look at it. All you have to do is try. If you try, then you'll realize that it's not that hard. I do intend to take this blood pressure cuff since it's fairly new to get calibrated next time I go to the doctor. I have an account on here for myself. I have an account on here for my wife. And I think this blood pressure cuff was like $79 or $80, something like that. It's a small investment, man, to make sure that you know what you know. You know what I'm saying? Because if you go to the doctor and your blood pressure is high and you've been taking these readings, then you can say, well, that's not normal. I've been taking it at home, and you show it to them and it'll give them some peace of mind. You know what I'm saying? Like, you'll know if it's white coat syndrome for sure. Because if you've been taking it at home and it's low and you go to the doctor and every time you go to the doctor it's high, you know what it is. It's white coat syndrome. If you go and it's high and you haven't been taking it, you have no idea if it's something going on with your body or, or you might be experiencing white coat syndrome. So empower yourself to go to the doctor and have some knowledge of your body. You know what I'm saying? It just takes a little bit of effort. So I'm trying not to make these videos too long, man, but you guys need to understand how important this is to at least look, man, just to at least try. So, I'm a 230 pound dude, 212, 227, 8, somewhere in there. So I don't expect my blood pressure to be at like 120. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's more pressure on my arteries. I'm a big dude, you know what I'm saying? Even though I'm in very good shape, I'm still heavy. So, there's only so much muscle in your body, even for bigger guys. There's only so much weight your body can handle before it might start to adversely affect your blood pressure. So your diet, your stress, your hydration levels, your rest, your nutrition, all that stuff is very important. Your exercise, doing cardio is very, very important to maintaining healthy standards. So that's it, man. You guys just put the effort in, man. I promise you it will pay off if you at least just study your body a little bit so that you understand what's going on. All right. I will holler at you guys in the next video. Peace out.
Always repping.